Hello everybody, Всем привет. Today I'm going to talk about animation. So the these passive structures, the best example right here is the windmill. These passive structures in the game 101-495 to show the whole map, they have little animations, and it was such a beautiful little thing back in 1995, 1996 to see the just animation like this didn't exist very much in games, and I in particular just really appreciated this. We've got the little fire burning, the cauldron dripping. We've got the windmill cycling. There's some waves going on here. That might actually just be pallet shifting. I'm not sure. Um, let's see what else we have. We have a steam vent here that's shooting steam and lava and other stuff outside of it. The shipwreck here, there's little bits of the sail, the torn and shredded sail are being pushed. This little magical fountain here has some water flowing in it. Let's see, is there anything else that's animated here? Not really. So that's kind of the basic animation that is missing from the current version. So this is the real game I just showed you, and we're closing that. So this is my current version, 495, to show the whole map. So my windmill is just missing the animation completely. You can see here there's no fire. There's a little hole where the fire should be. There's no drip. The steam vent is completely missing that, and the mast is both backwards and the shredded sail is not there on the shipwreck. So, and then we don't really have any animation from the sea. We do have some pallet shifting animation going on, but we don't have the wave breaking animation. So these are things that that I wanted to see if we could fix. Just checking the status of which build this is. So we were able to flag structures. That's where we left off last time. And now we're going to work on fixing some of this animation. So let's pause that and give it my usual context about how I'm rebuilding the game engine for Heroes of Might and Magic 1. I want to render the animation on animated structures. Here's a list of structures I want to animate and their base structure and the 6 animation frames that are overlaid and rendered atop them as an animation. So I basically then go through each of the major sprite sets and list out the kind of a name, the ICN file, the base frame name, and then the 6 animation frames. So for example, we have the alchemist with the desert base, like this. This is the desert sand below the alchemist. And then we have 6 frames of the fire. And there's also like a little mercury drip above that. Then 36 is the alchemist on dirt, and we have 6 frames after that. 44 is the alchemist on, I think, on swamp, grass, dirt, snow. And that's then the flame is 45 to 50. Now I'm not sure why they made they kind of lumped these together. And actually 35 was actually, if we zoom in here, that's actually lava. That's, I had said that was dirt, but no, that's lava. So sorry, 36, 35 and 36. These were lava, the lava based alchemist. So I don't know why they chose to break this up into these 3. Maybe it was, it just looked better visually. That's probably an art direction choice. I don't think they were that crammed for space in these, but somebody just made that decision at some point. So, so I highlighted those inside of resource 32. Well, then I went to object 32-00, which is water objects. And the first one, we have part of the shipwreck. I mean, we have a non-animated part of the shipwreck here at 6. And then 14 is the lower shipwreck piece. And we have 6 frames of animation, and then we have the upper shipwreck mast piece, and we have the upper pieces of that sail. So they actually broke the sail into 2 different sets of animation. And then for 28, 35, 42, 56, 63, we have a whole bunch of different waves and then their animations that, what they look like. So this is kind of the initial thing, and then these are what would be sort of overlaid over those tiles. And then we went on to object 3201, which is grass. So grass was interesting. We have the oracle first. So this is when you visit this oracle, it's basically like a thieves guild, but it's free, and it's a structure you can visit. And it's like having 4 thieves guilds that'll let you see the strength of your castle. And does it take 4 to see that, or is it 3? I don't know. It's 3 or 4 thieves guilds to be able to see the full picture of how you're doing against the other heroes. And then there's a little, it's like a spring, and so this is the water animating out of the spring. There's a whole bunch of lake structures with animations. There's like waves on this lake that you could have inside a green field, and that was pretty much all of these lakeshore structures were in there. Let's see, what was for snow? We had very little animation for snow, but we did have a campfire. I feel like the campfire should be universal, but for some reason they wanted to put it on snow here. You see this like white base there. So they have the campfire plus the 6 frames of animation for the campfire. Then we have the log cabin, which I think is recruiting peasants in the winter. And there's 2 frames of animation here. There is this 23 to 28, which is the 6 frames that come directly out of the log cabin. But then you have this placeholder. I realized after going through this, these were like a placeholder frame where this base frame then gets put above this frame, and then that placeholder frame, it has these animations associated with it. So 30 through 35 were then associated with that placeholder base frame. There were no animations in the swamp. So nothing in the swamp is animated. I was a little surprised, but that's how the cookie crumbled. And on the lava, there are there are a bunch of things. We have, let's see, the first one was our steam vent. So you've got this like lava popping out plus some steam. So it's like gurgling or spurting lava out of this vent. And then you have a placeholder frame. Initially, I was like, "What the heck is that? Did I decode these PNG files correctly? Did I correctly process this?" Yes, I did, and it's just kind of I don't actually know what this looks like because when I zoom in, there's nothing here. So I think this is actually like a transparent tile, and Windows preview is giving it this little speck of pixel, but there's actually nothing there. It's like a blank animation frame. And so anyway, these are then the subsequent tiles that are above this, because the lava vent is actually a double tiled animation. Then we have parts of the volcano. So this is a chunk of the volcano, and this part here gets a little bit of animation with this little drip of lava that comes down off of the volcano. And then you could have a volcano flow. This is actually, I think, the upper part of the volcano, and this dribble here of lava terminates on this. So I actually think these are like multiple frames of the volcano structure. There's also this where the lava pours out of the volcano and into a lake. So that might be, these might be like multiple base frames of a volcano. It could be this one, it could be this one, it could be this is the top, this is the middle center, and this is the right side of the volcano. And then there's another, you know, finishing frame somewhere in here. Maybe it's like this, maybe 29 is the middle frame. I'm not sure. I haven't really studied the maps of how the volcanoes are structured. I'm just kind of assuming that my map decoder, which when it reads the frames, which it does correctly, associates it with the correct frames. So I'll check this on some other maps that have a lot more lava terrain. But basically this flow, you know, is the next few frames. There's a little bit of a lava drip that's animated on this tile. And I think this is like a dormant volcano that's causing a bit of, that's got a bit of a smoke coming out of it. And I think that it's initially kind of like a little base frame, like a rumbling volcano. And then we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I think this isn't actually a blank frame. There's actually a tiny bit of pixel here that you can just barely see. And then it turns into smoke. So it's, again, it's like a subtle thing, you know, credit to the artists that created this. I think they did a nice job. So that was all the lava animations. It's a lot of volcano stuff and a steam vent. The desert. We just have a campfire in the desert. That's it. I would have thought there would be some splashing in the oasis or something, but no, just, you know, some wind on the palm trees. Nope, just a campfire. 6. What was in 6 here? 6. Oh nope, that is still the desert. 6. We have a campfire, and I think that was all. Actually, wait, that's not the case. I actually, well, I'm not sure about 6. Oh, this is 7. So 6. Okay, I didn't open 6. That's why. So I skipped from 5 to 7. So 6 had the oracle. Well, let's pull up. Let's go here from 5 and let's pull up 6 and just have a quick look. So 6, yeah, 6 had another oracle on. It was dirt, but I guess the base frame here is dirt instead of grass. So it was a subtle art detection thing, but this was similar to grass. We just have this animation. We go back and look at grass. Yeah, see the base here has, it's more green. And if we're over here on 6, the base here is more brown. So they really paid attention to detail and didn't just slap these sprites together. They really made little changes. You know, it probably took a graphic artist like half an hour to do something like that, but you know, we appreciate the detail as the game players, even 30 years later. So 7, this is what when I first looked at that, I was like, wait a minute. But 7, we have the campfire again. So again, this subtle, I guess there's nothing on the campfire bottom there. It's not desert like it was on snow and desert. We have the fountain. This is the luck fountain. I don't remember what this, oh no, I do remember what this structure is. This is the rogue encampment fire. So there's a little fire for the rogue encampment, and that is also animated. I don't have one of those. I can readily show you in Claw, which is my default map, but let me see if I can just pull up a couple of these, because some of these are pretty good. So why don't we look at, maybe Dragon Pass has one. Let's just see what Dragon Pass has. So we've got some campfires animated here. Here's a rogue encampment, and look at that animation there on the rogue encampment. You can see another good example of the alchemist here. There is a slight animation here of the this teleporter. Is it the monolith, lith, teleport? I forget the exact name of that structure. There is a lack of animation on the Oasis, which disappoints me. There's a little bit of animation here on this lake, you see. So these lake structures in grass have some animation to them. I believe that this animation, though, is just palette shifting. I don't think that this is actually animated frames. And we'll see if we see it in anywhere else. Let's see if there's anything else that's animated here. We do see these waves that we were seeing before. There's an animation here in the lighthouse, which I think we'll probably see at the bottom here. This is the animation of the oracle. You can kind of see that. What do we have up here? Do we have the... Okay, this is the... Yeah, here's the log cabin animation. So I forget which one of these is for peasants. One of these is maybe for dwarves. And so but that's the log cabin animation here. The buoy is also animated. Did I capture that in object 3200? No, I didn't mention that here, but 7 is the placeholder, and then 8 through 13 are the actual animation frames. And did I specify that? Yeah, I did specify the buoy. Okay, that's correct. So let's get back to the image here. Is there a water wheel? That's the last thing I want to look for, is just if there's a nice water wheel that I can show the animation of the water wheel. And I am not seeing one. Oh, but hey, look at this. We can see some of the volcano animation too. So we've got the flow, and then okay, so it flows down and then it kind of dribbles and stops here, but then it picks up again here. And then there's, I think this is maybe just palette shifting in the lake of the lava. And we got a nice steam vent view here. There's a little bit of glowing stuff here. And was there like a slightly smoking? Yeah, here's the sort of dormant volcano smoking animation there as well. So we were able to show off a lot of this animation, which is nice to see. I want to find one with a water wheel, just to see if we can show that off as well. Let's see, maybe River's End might have it. Sort of on a map with a river, I would expect to see a water wheel, but maybe the river isn't there. I don't know. Nope, no water wheel on River's End. Fail. Nope. We have a nice oracle there. And a rogue encampment. We'll try once more to see if we can find one. Let's see. Maybe Squirrel Lake. Not seeing it here. Okay, once more. Let's see, could it have been Badlands? Let's just check Continentina. Maybe that's... Okay, well, we'll worry about the water wheel later. Anyway, so we were back at object 7, so object 32.7. So first we had the campfire, the magic fountain, the rogue encampment. We have all these pieces of the water wheel. So it's basically, this is a chunk of it. You know, it's like a mill that would use water to power the grinding of grain or other industrial processes in sort of pre-industrial revolution times. This was the technology of the time. We then have the windmill, which was a similar pre-industrial technology. I think the Dutch are famous for their windmills. We're seeing water mills in France at one point. Cities like Bayeux would have water mills. But you can see the different frames of the animation of the windmill. So this, we have this sort of piece here of a windmill, and that's the base tile, and then you have 6 frames of the animation. And this is the base tile, and then you have the various frames of animation, and you can kind of see it if I cycle through it a little bit. But it's cut into left and right. Well, so anyway, I specified all of these, the windmill tiles, the water wheel, all of this. And I gave it my map files, my render map files, and my resources files. My resources files is where my sprites are loaded. My render map is just some utilities for how the map is rendered, and map is how they're loaded and determined, like which tile is which and which image of these should be selected, because that's encoded in the 10-byte tile map. And so some of the tiles have an upper component. I hope this is clear from the way the tiles are ordered and produced. Shipwreck sail is a good example, and also the lava vent, log cabin, windmill, water wheel. They're all multi-tile animations. And I think we'll be creating the animation in the rendering phase and then rendering each frame of animation about the same rate as whatever the monsters are being rendered at. So I'm trying to sort of guide the AI to like, hey, just assume it's kind of like how the monsters are being rendered. So I submitted all this, that's quite a big prompt. Gave it all the different files and all of these spec files for the animation frames, which are, again, the offsets, the image sizes. It's able to load that in and use that info. So it came up with an animation table, which covers all 54 animated sprites. It's small enough that a linear scan is negligible per tile per frame. So it can just look things up, and it's not going to be resource intensive to do this animation. Put everything into render map, and what happened was, let me see if I can pull up the version here with missing elements. So first of all, this is funny with the windmill, and then like something's missing from the base here as well. And that's kind of strange, right? Let's go have a look at the lava vent. Well, the lava vent, the animation's working, but the base tile is also gone. And the shipwreck, we have some shredded sails kind of being animated, but the base tiles of the shipwreck are gone. So we're kind of working, and look at this on the alchemist. It's animated, but it's missing the base tile. So that's what I highlighted. I said, okay, the shipwreck's not drawing. The alchemist lower right corner is being animated, but it's also, the base tile's missing. So like, let's check that the rendering order is correct. The animation is done on top of this base image. And then I highlight that this windmill here is inverted. So this isn't actually like, this half needs to be over here and vice versa, and I also highlighted that in a previous version of this, my shipwreck, the mast was actually like mirrored incorrectly. So I was trying to fix that as well. And that was in one of my first videos. I think I had just gotten the maps working, but that was like one of the bugs I was chasing down, and I never really fixed it. I was like, I'll worry about it later. Well, I decided to worry about it now while I'm working on tiles and animation, and so it highlights my bugs. So it's got the windmill upper left right flip, the base tile is disappearing, and the shipwreck mast horizontal flip. These are the 3 bugs. It comes up with some proposals, some crazy changes, and we still have the same issue. Now the base tile is showing up, but we still have that same issue. And so, let's see. The windmill fix didn't work. We still have that issue with the shipwreck. Can we modify the map to make a special case for the upper tile of the shipwreck and follow the bit flipping of the lower shipwreck tile? So I thought maybe this tile up above was actually needing to mirror the flip of the shipwreck base, which I can maybe just show over here. So like this base tile of the ship should have this shipwreck mast sticking out of it, and these, like if this gets mirrored, this should get mirrored. And what was happening is this was being displayed in like a non-mirrored fashion, and this was being displayed, so they weren't matching, they weren't aligned correctly. This was being mirrored incorrectly, and so the AI takes a look at it, comes up with something, takes a good long look at it, and it's still broken. So this mast should be, if this is mirrored, then it would look like the mast is kind of coming out correctly, and the shredded sails should be processed correctly on top of that. We still have the same issue on the tiles, but it's not that they're swapped, it's that they're being mirrored. But it occurs to me that the animation might be flipped on those tiles. So then I go in and I actually dig into the map. These are the 10 byte tiles of the actual sprites here. This is the windmill. So the windmill, the actual entrance tile of the windmill is AD. So that's actually this tile here, this lower right tile. And the other ones are 2D. These are the windmill animation tiles on these frames. So that's what this byte 8 specifies. And I also noticed that we have the same issue on the shipwreck. So the shipwreck is A3 is the shipwreck entrance, and 23 is the shipwreck mast for byte 8. And this was from my ground tile lookup. And according to the map format, it's possible that we have an error in the flip bits from our map format, where I was claiming that bit 3 does the object horizontal flip. Bit 4, the 5th bit, is actually the minecart layer. We know that. And we have our ground tile flips are controlled by bits 1 and 2. But I had theorized earlier that the object horizontal flip is done in bit 3. And so I said, let's double check based on these bytes, is that correct? And it's suggesting to me that yes, it actually is correct. I had an error in the signature of one of the function calls that I was doing, but it had been revised back. I got lazy and I was like, just give me the correct version. Tell me what to paste this line. And so we still have the same issue with the flipped base tile for the shipwreck, and the animation tiles are being mirrored incorrectly. So what I started to suspect here was that I was like, maybe we can do maybe we can do an exception for the shipwreck. Maybe we can do an exception. Maybe we can do one-off cases. Maybe it's just known of what that these are supposed to be inverted in some way. And I asked it to kind of look at other bit flips, and when I removed this inverted bit 3, it flipped almost everything in the map, and so that was definitely a bad move. That was not the case. And so then I realized, like, maybe we just, if it's 0xFF in byte 2 and 0x08 in byte 6, maybe we just ignore it. So if we go back up here and we look at these raw byte tile maps, so these animation frames up here, the upper animation frames, the ones that are inverted, this is an animation frame, but it's not incorrectly inverted. It's actually working correctly on this case. And if I just pull that up, I can show you that again. This one's actually, that's the correct working one. Hold on, let me go back to the one that wasn't working. So this one, if you see, the bottom frame is actually working correctly. That's actually animating on the lower part correctly, but it's not on the upper part. So that to me means that this one, 14075B 0762, if we go and look at object 7, 5B and 62 correspond to these base frames. So that corresponds to this 91 and whatever 6 frames after that, 98. So these were correct, but this FF is there instead. So that to me was signifying, okay, there's some sort of animation frame here that's then specified in the subsequent bits, but it's not. But the mirroring is off, and if we do the 101495 and we look up here, we're going to see something similar there as well. So this was the old version with the base frames missing. But anyway, so I suggest to it, what if it's 00 in byte 1 and FF in byte 2 and 0x08 in byte 6, when that's the upper frame of a structure, it is not flipped when byte 6 is 008. So I'm basically saying, let's ignore the flip when byte 2 is 0xFF in the upper frame of an animation. So can we add some minor exception logic for that and see if that works? And then it says, hey, we've confirmed that pattern. Here's the change. We basically just do this instead. So we don't flip horizontal. Well, actually, so this was the original logic, is we flip horizontal if the H flip is, let's see, not equal to 0. So if we have this bit 3, which would show up as 8 in this case. Is that right? Bit 3 being 8. It'd be 16 if it was just 0. No, that's okay. Yep, because it goes 0, 1, 2, 4, 8. So yes, all of the values together would sum to 15. So yep, so bit 3 is 8. So that's correct. I'm not misspeaking there. And this is the inverted bit 3, and then this was the bit 2 instead of bit 3. That was that earlier test. And it came up with this, but I think this is the backwards logic. But it basically gave us a test, and that broke a bunch of things. And so looking at the tiles that broke, the tiles above it have 0xff in bytes 1 to 2. This is one example. Is it possible the sprite tiles have a different mirroring system than the ground tiles? The answer is simpler than expected. When level 1 is empty, never h-flip regardless of the flags byte. So we basically ignore the flags byte if we have this 0xff. So if we have this ff here, this was the Daemon Cave logic. So the Daemon Cave was inverting when I applied this fix above that. So that helped me realize that the upper tiles don't have this same specification. And we would ignore the bit flip logic because these upper tiles had 0ff, but they don't have anything in bit 6, but that broke when we applied that. So this helped me determine basically that the L1 is empty. We never h-flip. So we ignore that flags byte if we have 0ff in bytes 1 to 2. And yep, that fixed it finally. So help me update the documentation. So we made some notes about the documentation, and we explain in the documentation here that the h-flip bit 3 only is valid when L1 is not empty. When L1 is empty, then when it's 00ff, especially for those like upper values, then we ignore it, and that gets the correct, that gets the flip correctly functioning for both the shipwreck and our windmill. So you see our windmill's working correctly. Our structure here, the alchemist, is working correctly, and the shipwreck actually looks correct. The mast isn't broken. I guess the mast could be broken in a shipwreck, but the sail is animating correctly. The lava vent is animating correctly. Now the animation speed might be a little different, and we could, let's pull up the game quick and see, just do a quick comparison of the windmill versus yeah, so the windmill is animating a little faster than that one. So yeah, I could speed up the animation. Let's have a quick look at the fire on the so the drip is happening about once a second here. So I think I probably need to speed up my animation by like a factor of 2 is maybe my guess. But we did get the animation working. We fixed the old shipwreck bug. Let's just have a quick look at that. So yeah, the shipwreck mast is now aligned correctly. That was something we had worried about in a previous session. But yeah, that's how the animation works. And really the bulk of the work for this was coming up with all of these specifications of the animation frames, which this did take me a little while to sit here and parse through each of these, labeling all these lake shores. I tried to give them some names, some set of names, some nomenclature that would work for the lake shores. I didn't really care that much, but I needed to have each one be different for the documentation and just for the processing. But this was the bulk of the work, and then the trick of the debugging was figuring out that the mirroring the mirroring bit should be ignored for upper tiles of animation, which can be identified by their bits 1 and 2 being 00ff. So that was the big learning of this session: inputting the correct tables and then debugging how the flag bits were interpreted.